I'm going to give this just a second to populate, and let's see. This is another public stream. We've been doing some private live streaming this evening, and this is going to be one of the public streams. And right now, I mean, we may get into some drum stuff. We may get into some talking. I may reteach some of the stuff that I taught before. That's actually, we're refilming that, and it's going to turn into a lesson on the YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, make sure that you go down and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for the notifications every time that I either go live or post a new video. We're shooting some drum lesson videos today, shooting some Monday and Tuesday as well. And hopefully everything looks and sounds great. I'm trying a different mic on this stream than we did the last time. It's definitely more present than the last mic that I had. We'll see how that works. Anyway, so I wanted to give you a quick tour and show you what we're using. So for my drumcorner.net site that we've been building the last year or two, where we do a lot of live streaming for students on some of the stuff in my Cosmic Clubhouse, and for any of the streams that we're doing here around the studio for sessions and stuff. This is the setup specifically for the drum room. I hope I brought some water over here. Yes, I did. If you got any questions, you got anything you want to say down in the chat, I can see your comments. I can't post them, but I can see them. But let me show you a little bit of the look that we got going on here. So one of the angles we got is right over my shoulder. And I'm having to learn when I go to that camera that I talk to this camera. I don't talk to that camera. I talk to you. So part of this is a learning experience for me as well. Trying to get used to this new setup. I'm running everything. I'll show you from the top down kind of what we got going on here for a second. So I've got an iPad kind of showing some of the exercises I was teaching a little earlier. I've got a metronome. Gives us a click track when I'm showing you some stuff that we can demonstrate. And right now, this tablet is not doing anything because I don't have all my scenes programmed in over here on OBS, so I'm doing it back here with this. There's a mouse back here on my sidecar. Then I'm swapping scenes with, swapping my cameras here. It's our camera switcher remote, and then I can do some of the audio stuff for our live stream right there. And so the whole reason that we're going through and doing these, I'll show you the third camera. This is coming from over my shoulder. So you can see if I do something over here, I just had dinner, sorry about that. If I do something over here, you can see this as well. So here we go, right there. Yeah, so anyway, to give you a quick tour of the kit that I'm using this evening, I'm using these Gretsch Brooklyn drums, and the sizes are 22 by 18 on the kick. Hey, good to see you, bud. How are you? I'm just kind of showing off these drums. I will get distracted by comments. Please leave as many as possible. I'm having to get used to that. I did not like the sound of this bass drum. I'll be honest with you. I wish it was 14 deep and not 18 deep until I put this Evans hydraulic on. Listen to this kick drum. I think I found the magic head for this kick drum. It's an Evans hydraulic. It's red. You can't really see it in any of the shots other than that's probably the closest. And I am using this square beater. It's the square Danmar beater. It's the Zorro signature model, but that's not who got me into using square beaters. J.R. Robinson got me into using square beaters. I took a lesson with him a few years ago, and he sold me on this idea of square beaters, and I'm hearing that compressor a lot on my voice, and so I'm going to back that compressor off. Anyway, so J.R. Robinson is who got me into using square beaters, and I got to tell you, man, they sound really good. It's definitely something that... Get open, attack, technique, ratio 3, let's go up on the threshold just a little bit. Check. Yeah, I'm just hearing that compression a little bit too much. Anyway, so J.R. Robinson is who really got me into using the square beaters, and man, it really sounds good on this kick drum. All right, so maybe you can see it from camera 3 here. But tonight I'm using a 5x14 Gretsch aluminum snare drum. It's got the knurled middle there that looks so stinking cool. And I really love aluminum snare drums. And hey, there's Paul. I'm glad your session went good. I talked to this camera. I'm glad your session went great today. I look forward to hearing about that. Paul's one of my students. He's over on YouTube right now, and he was in recording 3 songs in the studio today. Third time in the studio, Paul? I think it was your third time, at least third time since you've been taking lessons with me, you've been in the studio. If you're over on YouTube, you'll see his comments there. And it looks like Slug's over on Facebook there. Let's see. Anyway, so the other thing that I'm rocking here that's new for me, I haven't used Evans hydraulic heads since about 1988. I was actually showing Paul a clip of Steve Gadd from about 78 to 80, somewhere in there with second time in the studio. Cool. Yeah, we'll have to tell Paul's story later. Second time in the studio, and I look forward to hearing about your experience, man. I shared with Paul, who's watching on YouTube right now. I shared a video of Steve Gadd playing Evans Hydraulics, playing with Paul Simon, and so I haven't played hydraulics since. It had to be 88 or 89. I was in high school, and I had a Pearl Export drum set that I kept through the first year of me being here in Atlanta as my gigging kit. Eventually, I went and bought this silver Ludwig kit you see sitting over there. That's the first professional kit that I ever bought for myself. Bought that in '98. But yeah, on those Pearl Exports, I used Evans Hydraulics for 2 reasons. Because they were super durable and they made a really cheap drum set sound incredibly good. And so, yeah, so that's why I used them. And while I'm on my voice here, go back over there, voice. I turn myself down in my ears. I'm gonna keep it up for you. Anyway, all right, so but the thing about the hydraulics that you may not know, it's the only, as far as I know, the only head on the market that actually has oil. So it's a double ply head, and they've got oil in between the 2 layers. Now, if you look at a pinstripe, you can see what looks like oil in a Remo pinstripe, but that's really just the refraction of the light between the 2 plies. So light goes through a ply, it gets bent, and then it goes through the other ply, and it gets bent before it gets to your eye, and that's what causes the rainbow coloration in the pinstripes. But the Evans actually have some oil in between, so you'll see these bubbles, and the bubbles are just, I guess, air. Where there's oil and air in between the plies. Let me hit these toms a second, and then you can listen to them and see what they sound like. I'm still kind of dialing them in, but they've got an interesting sound. So yeah, real deep, nice and deep, and the note is shorter than when I'm using the UV2s or the EC2s or anything. So had no idea how Evans does the oil in the middle, but it's super cool. You know what? I'm gonna have to ask my guy at Evans how they do that. Maybe he can send me a video, or maybe we can do a video about it. I'm kind of curious too. It definitely, so it does a couple of things. It dampens the head so it doesn't ring quite as long. Now, the thing about people don't realize about the ring of a drum is the bottom head will have a lot to do with that resonance as well. It's not just the top head. And right now I've got coated G2s on the bottom. And actually, you would think that a thicker head and coated would help make the note shorter, but it really doesn't. It actually kind of adds to the depth and the warmth of the drum. If I used a thin head like the Evans resonant head or just something super thin, you would actually get a shorter note out of these. It sound more like I didn't have anything on there at all. Hey Ryan, good to see you, bud. It would sound like either almost like a single-headed drum or a lot closer to that. To me, I hear a lot less depth when I put a super thin head on the bottom. And it was counterintuitive until I started messing around with what kind of bottom heads that I liked. So on this particular combination, we've got the G2 coated on the bottom, is nice and warm and round. It's got fewer overtones, so it sounds a little more focused, but it's really just the fact that the note is purer, I think. Anyway, and then yeah, the hydraulics definitely kind of take care of it. I was playing a tune earlier on the stream when we were doing the lesson stuff, and I might as well go back to that a second. I don't really know what I'm going to do on the stream tonight, to be honest with you. This almost feels like a Twitch stream already, and I haven't been streaming to Twitch too terribly much. That's something that we're probably going to do later tonight and maybe some Monday and Tuesday. This rig is also built to do that kind of thing. And that really, from what I've seen, gets very, very ADD. So I have to make sure that I keep reading the chat comments and we kind of keep the conversation going. But I'm going to play a little bit of this tune that I played earlier today in the stream. And that way you can kind of hear the toms. On the snare drum, I'm using my typical kind of setup. It's a coated G1 on top and a 300 series on the bottom for the snare side head. And I've been going between the G1s and the Genera, which is basically like a G1, but it's already got this little ring thing kind of built into it. It's got a thin Mylar ring on the underside, so it helps to focus the sound a little bit. But yeah, let me play a little bit with this track that I worked with earlier today, and you'll get a chance to kind of hear it. The kick drum is just absolutely amazing. The toms I'm having to get used to a little bit, and it's just because the note is so focused. But it's nice and deep and resonant. So let me turn my mic off, and we're gonna hit this tune here a second. Make sure the tune's still running. Hang on. Oh, come on. My keyboard is not doing what it wants. There we go. All right, yeah, so that seems to be working. Let's go back to this tune. Here we go. Dang, I wish I would have hit record on the Pro Tools rig for that. That wasn't doing too bad. Yeah, not too bad. So yeah, you kind of get an idea of what these things sound like. It's almost also given me a chance. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. It's given me a chance to go back and listen to see what this mix sounds like too. Still kind of working on the mix and stuff. How's it sound out there, Paul? How's it sound over there on YouTube? If you're watching on Facebook, how's it sound on Facebook? Ryan, anybody else that's watching on Facebook, how's the thing sounding? Anyway, yeah, the thing that I find with these hydraulics is, one, I tend to lay into them a little bit more, but the attack it's rounder. It's not quite as pointed as what I'm used to with like a G1 or even a G2. And the UV heads, either the UV1 or the UV2, the attack feels super immediate to me. And on these, yeah, I hit it and there's not as much high end. So the attack doesn't feel quite as immediate. It's not a bad thing. It's just different. So having to get used to playing this. One of the things that I've noticed pretty quickly, just the first few rounds of doing these, is I don't think these hydraulics are meant for really a lot of notes. I mean, the note is shorter. You would think if it was shorter that it'd be great for doing, especially if the floor tom doesn't have a lot of overring to it, that you'd be doing a lot of crazy stuff on it. For me, at least, because there's not as much attack, not as much high end. Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate that, man. For me, I just I feel like I want to play less notes. Like in that case, just doing those 16th notes. I mean, the busiest I got was the little right left kick thing. This move. That little move there. It's one of those where like the moment I start playing a lot of notes, I start feeling like, yeah, it doesn't need that. These don't like it as much, which is great. That was the whole reason. Like the whole reason I put these on here is to get a sound out of this kit. Before, with just my regular choice of heads, G1s or G2s on top and some G1s on the bottom, it just sounded like any of these other drum kits. It didn't have a sound. This almost makes me play a certain kind of way. So I really like that. Floor tom's super low. Yeah, dude, it's and it's not tuned low, but it sounds low. Immediately when I start to play anything kind of busy, it just doesn't voice. To me, it doesn't. Somebody else may get on this thing and just think it sounds awesome and want to play like a gazillion notes. For me, I just want to hear it do that thing. Yeah, maybe I play 2 notes. Yeah, I mean, the moment that I start to really get after it, it just feels like it doesn't like that because it doesn't have as much attack. Same way with the bass drum. It feels like the note is so rounded that it just wants to be big fat notes. So I'm curious. I'm going to pull up a tune that I haven't played to that's on my list of stuff here. Let's see. Oh, that doesn't work. I'm kind of curious. So I've got a few options here as far as tunes that I can play to. Put you on that camera when I don't want to turn my back to you if you're in that camera. Anyway, let's see. Where's my memory locations? one of the other things I was going to do, and I was going to save it for the Twitch stream, but I'll do it here. Why not? I've got some other tunes that I'm going to use for some lessons pulled up that I figured they might be good to try this stuff with, especially hearing the kick drum and the toms. So let's see which one this is. Yeah, my keyboard's not working today for some reason. Let's see. This is one of the hip hop ones.
Yeah. Better when you mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got better when you mad, me admit it. You said you done trusting niggas, but you did it. Move low key, but I really know you with it. Why you nonchalant when you really got the niggas? I'm a sass, I'm like, yes, ain't no stress. You the best. I'm a sass, I'm like, yes, ain't no stress. You the best. Look, how you get so good at being modest, girl, be honest. You said you done trusting these niggas, made yourself a promise. I hate to make you take it back. I've been getting paid for rapping, talking about the drums when I tell you I can make it clap. Had to make you wait for that. You intrigued with conversation. You be moving dolo, I'm intrigued and I'm in admiration. I can gas you up, but I don't think you need the validation. Still you looking good, natural without no operation. Fuck my old bitches hating. Fuck your old niggas too. Younger me, he wanted street stripes, but it wasn't blue. Now I'm banking on the sweet life when I'm next to you. Giving you the credit you deserve, cause it's so you do. You got better when you mad, me admit it. You said you done trusting niggas, but you did it. Move low key, but I really know you with it. Why you nonchalant when you really got the niggas? I'm a sass, I'm like, yes, ain't no stress. You the best. I'm a sass, I'm like, yes, ain't no stress. You the best.
Some of those lyrics weren't safe for work. Sorry about that. Or safe for the kids. That's the first time I played to that. I just kind of loaded that thing up and thought, I need something kind of groovy, hip hoppy sort of thing. So yeah, that's kind of a groovy thing. That's 76 beats a minute. I'm kind of curious because I know other guys that would play that kind of tune. Let me go back to this. Would put some crazy stuff in some of those fills because 76 is kind of easy to put 30-second note stuff. You know? So I'm kind of curious. I don't play like this, but let's see what happens. Yeah, forget about it. Forget about it. Let's see what happens. I'm kind of curious. It's an inspiring track, even though the lyrics are a little dodgy.
Yeah. Better when you mad me. Yeah. You got better when you mad me, admit it. You said you done trusting niggas, but you did it. Move low key, but I really know you with it. Why you nonchalant when you really got the niggas? I'm a sass, I'm like, yes, ain't no stress. You the best. I'm a sass, I'm like, yes, ain't no stress. You the best. Look, how you get so good at being modest, girl, be honest. You said you done trusting these niggas, made yourself a promise. I hate to make you take it back. I've been getting paid for rapping, talking about the drums when I tell you I can make it clap. Had to make you wait for that. You intrigued with conversation. You be moving dolo, I'm intrigued and I'm in admiration. I can gas you up, but I don't think you need the validation. Still you looking good, natural without no operation. Fuck my old bitches hating. Fuck your old niggas too. Younger me, he wanted street stripes.
Yeah.
Now I'm banking on the sweet life when I'm next to you, giving you the credit you deserve.
Like, it's not the notes, it's the phrasing. It's like I can play fast notes. Like, it's not the notes that's the problem. It's like musically, I just don't play that way. So to play it with the track is kind of weird, you know? Anyway, they don't voice too bad, actually. I mean, you know, maybe if I played that style a little bit more, I'd settle it in. So, yeah, they're really kind of, they're growing on me. The sound's growing on me. I hope you dig the cymbals. The cymbals are, the whole setup are these Paiste 602 Modern Essentials. So over here, I've got some 15-inch hi-hats, my favorite hi-hats in the world. And over here, we've got an 18-inch crash, a 20-inch crash, and a 22-inch ride cymbal. This is the second 22-inch ride cymbal that I ever got, and I didn't really like big ride cymbals until I got this one, actually. This one really kind of got me, and I hit them. Yeah, dude. Tom's cut through the mix. Yeah, you're playing. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, I'd never played a 22-inch ride cymbal. I got this one, another one about the same time, and I just fell in love with this one because no matter how hard I hit it, it never gets too big in the mix. I got the cymbals a little up in the mix right now compared to where I might put them if I was mixing a record, just so you hear these things really good. But yeah, so the 602s, I love them because they just record well. They just record really, really well. It's hard for me sometimes to use anything else. They sound so good. But I've got a whole cadre of other cymbals over there that in the other room that I'll pull in and use for different tracks. These just do a great job on almost anything. So let me look through here and see what else I've got. None of these tracks I've ever played to that I've got set up here. I figured on my Twitch stream tonight I was just going to riff through them a little bit and just kind of get a feel for them because I'm going to end up using them in some lesson videos. And I figured, you know, Twitch is going to kind of turn into a little bit of a gym for me, kind of working through tunes and trying to play things different ways. So let's see what this one is. This is a tune called Porpoise. I haven't heard this one before either. And I wish that my stinking keyboard would work. Oh, I know what I was going to use this for. So in the, I'll play this and talk over it a little bit. What we talked about in the lesson earlier was about 4 on the floor. We talked about nailing that 4 on the floor thing. You won't get a lot of times out of this, but let's start this back over, and I'm going to play to this for a second because this is a good example of the kind of thing when I'm working on really trying to get my 4 on the floor thing together. This is the kind of track that I work on to get my 4 on the floor super tight. You can see down here in the right here in the foot cam. Let's see how well I can hold this 4 on the floor thing together. I think I biffed one time and hit the mic there. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like the very end there, that kind of feel. Like I just feel like the note doesn't jump out as much. Like I tried one just for grins to see how that would roll, and it just for some reason, even if I really lay into it. Like the notes come out, but they don't jump out. When I play a drum that's got a brighter attack and a sharper attack, those notes seem to jump out a lot more. At least to my ear, or in these ears, it just doesn't seem like it jumps out. But yeah. So Paul, that track is going to end up in a lesson at some point. So that's a good example of a 4 on the floor thing. We talked about it in the live lesson I did earlier today. That we're going to reshoot. I'm going to put it on YouTube. But anyway, like the idea, Red Evans Hydraulics. Sarah, hey, good to see you. Go to this camera so I can say hello. Hi. Yeah, these things actually sound really good. I'm surprised. This is the first time since, I said earlier in the stream, since 1988 that I've used Evans Hydraulics. And I put them on this kit specifically to get a sound. I felt like this kit didn't have a sound. It sounded like everything else that I've got. And so, so with this particular kit, I was going for something that was kind of deep and tubby and rich, almost like dark chocolate. And I feel like I'm getting that. But I'm also learning what these things don't do well with these heads. That was kind of the idea with some of the notes. Like on a different kit, those notes voice a lot better. They just don't seem to voice on these heads. They like the big fat notes, that's for sure. So, what's another one I've got on here? 76. Did I do that one already? Oh, yeah, it was the. Let's try this one. This is the first time you're hearing me play these. This is the first time I've heard these tunes. They're going to end up in a lesson at some point, a video lesson. And I just figured I'm going to do a Twitch stream a little bit later this evening. And I'm kind of using that as my workout place to work out ideas and try things. The stakes are higher when people are watching. So, I feel a lot more invested if I blow something, like play, like I biffed and hit that microphone. I was like, crap. You're not supposed to do that. Anyway, let's see what this tune is. Hang on a second. This one's 87 beats a minute, so we'll see what happens here. All right, so that's obviously the chorus. Good idea, not great execution. Let me go back and try that again. Now that I kind of know where the song's going to go. Second time I ever heard the song, so the first time was when I just played to it, so. I biffed one. I biffed one. I can always tell when I'm thinking. Like I hear it when I'm thinking, and that was one of those about a bar before I played that fill. I thought about what the fill was, and then when I went to play it, I was behind, and so I just biffed the whole thing. But otherwise, that wasn't too bad. Two choruses the second time around. I got that. Two choruses the second time around. Anyway, yeah. So it definitely sort of leads itself. These heads for me lead to these fills that are just, hey Maxwell, yeah, you watch me biff one, yeah. Anyway, yeah, these heads for some reason they lend themselves to this really cool kind of downward melodic, real fat note kind of thing. Anyway, I dug those. There's got to be one more that I haven't done. Oh man, I've got one in here that's a hip hop track, but it's variable time, so I don't know how well I'm going to lock with this one. I don't even know if I'll use the toms on it. I don't know. We'll see. The kick drum is the winner here, guys, though. That's the thing. The kick drum is definitely the winner. This kick drum, I'm turning my mic off a second so you can just hear the kick drum. This hydraulic on this 18 by 22 or 22 by 18 kick drum just all of a sudden fixed everything about this drum. Everything about this drum. You see the edge of it right there at the bottom of the frame. It's a long kick drum. The kick drums I love are like, if you look over there, you can kind of see it. I think both of those are 14-inch depth. Both of those are 20 by 14 on the wall there. Most of the drums I've been taking out lately for gigs are 14-inch depth, whether it's 20, 22, or 24. And I've just come to love that. Got to where I hate 18s, but this 18, man, check this out. I mean, there's some tom resonance in there and stuff, but it's just immediate. It sounds like I've got a huge sandbag in there with like a cinder block or something, but I don't. It's just a couple of Evans EQ pads and hydraulic on one side. The EQ3, I think, is on the other side, maybe. I forgot what I put on the other side. I think it's an EQ3. That's usually what I use. And so it just sounds really, really good. The kick drum's definitely the winner. I'm going to have my buddy Shannon come by and really help me work these toms out a little bit more and see if we can really get them that last 10%, that really just get them perfect. But, man, yeah, they sound good. They sound real good. I hope you dig them. Feel free to leave a comment in there if you dig these things. I'm going to pull up this hip-hop track it's variable tempo. It's not on a grid, so we're going to see how well this goes. This may be a complete and utter embarrassment, and if it is, I'll probably still leave it up anyway. In my practice time, this is something that I'll do is I'll pull up a tune that I haven't really heard before, and I'll listen to the first few seconds to get an idea of the feel and something about what I might need to play on the drums. But then I'm just listening. Like that last tune, I went to the and of the ride cymbal. Something about the first chord of the chorus, immediately something in the recesses of my brain went to the and of the ride cymbal on the bell there. And it was something about the chord of the first chorus. And so I've been trying to, not trying, I mean, in my practice time, I'll pull tunes up like that just to see what my reaction is. Because a lot of times when I'm recording and I sit and I write a chart before I play anything, and I already sort of work out in my mind what I'm going to do based on what I hear. But there's a whole other level of playing that reacts entirely in microseconds so that you hear something and you immediately react to it. So a lot of times my playing in the studio is not reactionary. I've heard the song twice probably because I had to make a chart. My brain had already formulated what I thought was going to be kind of right. And usually within a few takes, I have something that I feel good about. This is a different exercise. This is, I don't know where this song is going, and I'm just waiting to hear the thing that's going to give it away to me. So we'll see. This hip-hop thing's probably going to do mostly groove stuff, but we'll see. I might get inspired. The variable tempo thing scares me, but let's just try it out here. It's a tune called Modest. I don't know if the lyrics are safe for work, so, you know.
Ceiling fan blowing cold breeze on your body. I can't tell you really what it is, but you got it. Makeup in the morning, you got dresses in your closet, but you grab them tight, you in love with being honest. You a move body giving center views. I'm just saying I'm amused, but you ain't even flexing. And you cool, tatted up, cover warmth, different vibe, you new improved, but you ain't even flexing. And you ain't gotta try too hard. Number one fan, your side, your applaud. Everything about it, side the mark. It's got deep, it's like a swamp. Give me better, you hotter than pepper. You with a big stepper who chasing a cheddar. All of these women, they not on your level. You like a mix of business and pleasure. You a move body giving center views. I'm just saying I'm amused, but you ain't even flexing. And you cool, tatted up, cover warmth, different vibe, you new improved, but you ain't even flexing. 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 But you ain't even flexing.
The tune finished. Just when I started to hear it, I have to go back. The problem with it, I feel it where it breathes. And so, like, there was one time I definitely heard I was like 20 or 30 milliseconds behind on the beginning of the next phrase because I was listening for it. But yeah, like that tempo and that feel, yeah, it definitely started getting me into some of the chops things. I don't play those fills that... Yeah. That was fun. I may try another one of those. Hang on, I'll put you in this camera so you can see it when I do it. Let's go back to the top of that. Like I said, I may biff this really bad, but at this point, I almost don't care. This is fun. Here we go.
Ceiling fan blowing cold breeze on your body. I can't tell you really what it is, but you got it. Makeup in the morning, you got dresses in your closet, but you grab them tight, you in love with being honest. You a move body giving center views. I'm just saying I'm amused, but you ain't even flexing. And you cool, tatted up, cover warmth, different vibe, you new improved, but you ain't even flexing.
That's what I'm talking about. Hang on.
Try too hard.
Let me break this out. So if there's anything in here that's going to give me something. Oh, no. I'm going to turn down that.
You with a big stepper who chasing a cheddar. All of these women, they not on your level. You like a mix of business and pleasure. You a move body giving center views. I'm just saying I'm amused, but you ain't even flexing. And you cool, tatted up, cover warmth, different vibe, you new improved, but you ain't even flexing.
Yeah, I heard it breathe. When I went to play the lick, I heard it breathe. Brian Stevens gospel. No, there will be no Brian Stevens gospel chops lessons. Yeah, I felt it breathe. There's a drum machine about a third of the way through this, but even it seems to be kind of variable. But yeah, it's one of those. I heard it breathe as I was playing that lick. I'm like, okay, well the downbeat's not where I think it is. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check.
You in love with being modest. You a move body giving center views. I'm just saying I'm amused, but you ain't even flexing. And you cool, tatted up, cover warmth, different vibe, you new improved, but you ain't even flexing. And you ain't gotta try too hard. Number one fan, your side, your applaud. Let me think about it, side the most. First cut deep, it's like a swamp. Give me better, you hotter than pepper. You with a big stepper who chasing a cheddar. All of these women, they not on your level. You like a mix of business and pleasure. You a move body giving center views. I'm just saying I'm amused, but you ain't even flexing. And you cool, tatted up, cover warmth, different vibe, you new improved, but you ain't even flexing. 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 But you ain't even flexing.
I'll make something out of that. I may actually cut that up and do something more with that. Yeah, that's one of those where the variable tempo, like for me, I kind of get my metronomic tempo, and then all of a sudden it just, like, I land and it's their one's different. Yeah, I knew that was going to be a bear when I picked it because it doesn't have a click track to it. So, and it can't grid. It's variable tempo. I think it came off a tape or something. Anyway, yeah, I don't play that way anyway. It was a fun experiment. Anyway, if you've watched this whole thing, which at this point, like, how long have we been going? Where'd my mouse go? Oh, my mouse fell off at some point while we were streaming. Yeah, if you like this kind of stuff, I'm going to be doing more of this kind of thing on Twitch, and where it's just impromptu. I'm not really talking about anything in particular, and I can hang out with people like Paul. I can hang out with people like Sarah. I can hang out with people like everybody. I can just kind of hang out. I can do things like I can meander and try and find where my mouse is. I can't stop the stream because, oh, there's my mouse right there. It's under my chair. Sorry. Anyway. Yeah, just real informal, talking about stuff, showing stuff off. 53 minutes, that's not bad. That was almost an hour, man. It felt like 3. It wasn't a bad run. Yeah. I mean, I can tell you what I was thinking, and I can tell you that I almost pulled it off. There it is right there. There's my little ball for my mouse there. I almost pulled it off. Yeah. I'll show you the idea I was trying to go for, Paul. It starts off with like an inside out kind of paradiddle. That was the idea. It's like an inside out paradiddle, and then it ends with a right, left foot. So yeah, you can have that lick. I'll probably never use it. Yeah, that's where it doesn't voice for me. In the room, it voices, but not to the mics. It doesn't. So, it sounds great in my hat mic, though, meaning my hat on my head mic. Yeah, there's the mic that I'm using now is in this hat, actually. Anyway, what's the sticking? Okay, I'll tell you what it is. I think it's not an inverted paradiddle. I call it inside out paradiddle. Diddle's in the middle. I'll put you in cam 2 here. Yeah. Or that's it. Yeah, so it's an inside out paradiddle. It's got the diddle in the middle. And then I turn it around with a bass drum in the middle. Forget I can't talk with this mic on when it's open. So I'll show you again. So it's inside out paradiddle. There's a kick drum in there that turns it around. And then it ends just right, left foot, right, left foot. Yeah. Said I wouldn't do this on YouTube. I wouldn't do this. But yeah, that's the lick. That's the kind of stuff that I practice and I never play. It's not that don't want to, but nobody wants to hear that on any gig or session I play on. But yeah, that's the lick. It's that inside out paradiddle. I turn it around with the bass drum, and then it ends with the other two, right, left foot, right, left foot. So yeah, so it's the same lick twice basically, and then the foot thing, the right, left foot. You'll never catch me playing that on a gig, probably. It's fun to practice though. So yeah, you can take that one, Paul. You can have that one, and you practice it. Question for Monday, because let's see. Oh, the sticking. Oh, dude, I will remember that lick on Monday, because that's one that I've used a lot in the practice room. I've never found a place to use it on a gig. I don't play those kind of gigs, but it's a cool lick. It's one of those. We've talked about it before, and I put it in this camera because this is the serious camera. This is the casual camera. This is the serious camera. The serious camera is this, and I'll say this because Paul's watching. Paul's one of my students. He comes on Mondays. When you practice stuff, the things that we talked about earlier today in the live lesson, that it'll come back around. We're going to refilm it, so it's just a little better formatted. It's not quite as meandering and rambling like I like to do. The things that you need to practice when you're practicing in the practice room, you need to practice meat and potatoes stuff, like the stuff that we were doing earlier today in the lesson. That looks familiar, doesn't it, Paul? Yeah, the idea is that you got to practice meat and potato stuff. The building blocks for any of the grooves that you might play, you're working on. With my students, I have them work on pieces of ideas that can be put together in vocabulary. So think about when you're learning the alphabet. You don't learn words first. You learn letters. And so, somebody doesn't hand you see, spot, run. They've got to teach you what an S is first. And then you have to learn, as you go, you learn more of those 26 letters of the alphabet. But in the middle of learning your alphabet, then you start to learn to put ideas together. So one of the things that I have with my students is we work on ideas that are pieces of grooves. Like that idea where I'm playing eighth notes on the right hand, I've got a backbeat on 2 and 4, and then I run through all the different combinations of what I could play on a 16th note grid with my bass drum. And we see that rhythm in every single beat. So that later, when you have to play a groove that has that figure, say in bar or beat 3 of an entire bar, then you already know what it sounds like and you know how to accomplish it. You're just putting it with all the different other letters that you've practiced. And a drum, that's part of it. But then part of it is when we started with the Gary Chester thing with that warm-up list that I gave you, the list of warm-up rhythms, where you're doing a system, and then you've got all of these different rhythms that you practice against the system before you get to the reading. That's that in-between spot where you're learning the alphabet of how to put grooves together. I mean, that drum set musician book that you've got that we just started doing not too long ago is great because instead of me writing down 50 grooves, it already has them in there. So you can just look in there and kind of go down. I tell my students that grooves are like baseball cards. You can trade them like baseball cards. You collect them like baseball cards. I'm constantly collecting grooves like baseball cards. And when it comes time to throw that card, I'm not going to say Pokemon cards, which is probably a lot more attuned to this generation. Oh, there's my hat mic. I accidentally hit it there. Sorry. I should probably use the analogy of Pokemon cards now instead of baseball cards because you can throw a Pokemon card and it causes. You know what? Dadgummit, I'm going to have to use that as an analogy now. Okay. Put that in the brain. Anyway, but the other part of learning grooves and being able to execute grooves is the building blocks. It's not just collecting the cards. You need to be able to go through and have all of the alphabet of grooves that could be played, so that when I hear a piece of music, that my ear goes to the thing I should play, and I don't have to worry about execution. I don't, rarely do I have to think about the thing that I need to play, because I hear what I need to play. But I hear what I need to play because I've heard. It's just like when you're reading a book and the words come to your mind. You're seeing the words on the page and you're hearing them in your brain. You're not saying them out loud. You're not, well, if I had a book to read, I would sit here and read it. I'm not saying Evans Hydraulic, Paiste Formula 602, Modern Essentials 15-inch hi-hat top. I'm not saying the words out loud. I hear the words when I see them written down. It's the hearing. And once you can get to the hearing part, once you can hear the thing that you need to do, you can go one of two ways. You can execute on the thing that you need to do. You can play it. Or if I need to archive it, because maybe I'm putting a chart together, maybe I'm getting ready to learn a whole bunch of tunes and I'm not going to be able to memorize everything I need to do, so I'm going to put a chart together for it. You can go the other direction and put what you see down. So you can take the sound and transmute it into words, musical words. But that's the idea. So part of your practice needs to be that. Part of your practice needs to be that alphabet of grooves. What are all these different rhythms that can be played on a kick drum with these particular pieces, with 16th notes on a hi-hat, with 8 notes on a hi-hat, with a rhythm on the hi-hat, with my hand playing nothing but backbeats, with my hand playing some ghosting and some different rhythms. You just sort of mix it up, and that's part of your groove study. But then there's a part of my practice time. If you sat outside my practice room, you would hear some horrendous stuff come out. You'd hear me working on some stuff that you'd be like, man, that guy can't play drums at all. Because I'm not trying to reinforce the things that I know. I'm not trying to play all the licks that I know. Like, I don't practice that particular lick that you asked about, but I can pull it out because I've spent enough time with it, and I've spent enough time too on the pad with those sticking patterns that it comes out pretty naturally. I just need to find the right place for it musically. And the truth is, a lick like that, as much as I've worked on those kind of ideas, I may never get a gig where I can play those. If somebody says take a solo, I've got more of a vocabulary now. I could probably take a solo and feel good about the solo. Not just I can take a solo, but I don't always feel good about them. I could probably take a solo and feel good about it because I've got enough vocabulary I can use. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with this. Oh, I know what it was, bandwidth. So it's about opening up your bandwidth. So being able to play at that speed, those 30-second notes, those fast combinations, being able to think fast, being able to put things together and hear fast. If I never have to do it on a gig, yeah, that's a good thing, Paul. If Paul's over on YouTube, if you're over on Facebook, if you're practicing and you sound really good, you're not practicing. For years when I was in high school, I played Van Halen's 5150. And I played that record every single day, start to finish, until my neighbors probably wondered if I knew how to play anything else. But at a certain point, after I'd learned the record and could execute it pretty well, I wasn't learning anything new. I was just reinforcing what I already knew, polishing it a bit. But even past a certain point, it wasn't polishing anymore. It was just repetition. You need reps, but you need reps in a different way. I'm not saying no reps. I'm saying reps in a different way. Different lesson, different time. But the idea on practicing some of this stuff, especially the notey stuff, the sticking combinations, the hand-foot combinations, the linear stuff, I may never, ever play a linear groove in my life. But it helps inform all the other things that I do, and it opens up my bandwidth so that on the things that I can play, I'm not throttled up nearly as much, so it's easier to execute. I can be more relaxed. I can be more spontaneous and be more in the moment because I've got a lot more bandwidth than what I may be doing. And that's what's always hard for me, because I'm not going to put together videos of me shedding chops. You're not going to see those kind of things online. because that's not that's not how I play, and two, I don't want to perpetuate that that's how you play drums, but it is how you open up your band with. And so I'm pretty confident most of the time that somebody's not going to get out in front of me and give me something I can't do, because I've got enough vocabulary, I've got enough enough in terms of my dynamic width, bandwidth, my tempo bandwidth, my density bandwidth. I can do a lot more than I do on songs. Just don't need it. But it's fun to practice. Anyway, we've gone an hour, and I hope that you dig this. We'll do more of this kind of stuff on a regular basis. This setup is so much easier than anything I've had before in terms of being able to turn on cameras, turn on the audio, hit stream, and go. And so, so I'll probably be doing a lot more. Not probably, I will be doing a lot more of that. You can see a whole lot more with the camera setup that we have now. And I love having the foot cam down here. Of course, now I have to think about what my footwear is, and see if I can be a little bit more fashionable in my footwear right there. It looks like I walk around in skis anyway. I don't know, wonder why. Shouldn't worry about what I'm wearing anyway. So yeah, that's it. That's everything, man. It's almost 11 o'clock and we're losing in an hour tonight. So anyway, that's all I got for you. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Let me get this foot cam thing off because that's making me... If you saw earlier in the lesson, down in the right corner, I can put musical examples of things that we're working on. Yeah. If I go, I think I'm going to go live for just a little while on Twitch, just more than anything to check it and make sure that this stuff is working and the connection's working. So if I'm over there, if you're on Twitch, I'm pretty easy to find, especially once I go live. You'll be able to find me in the music section. And I think my name over there is Brian Stevens as well. So I don't have some crazy gamer name over there. It's just me. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. And Paul, thanks for leaving so many comments. I appreciate you being here. And it's a Saturday night here at the studio, just hanging out, trying all this stuff, getting this stuff dialed in. Feel free if you're watching. I'm going to leave this one up. I took the lesson down because we're going to reshoot it. But I'm going to leave this one up. This was fun. If you like this kind of thing, leave a comment at the bottom. And if you got any questions, leave those. I'll come back and answer them. And the main thing is if you like this kind of content, then just leave a comment. I'm trying to set it up so that inside of 10 minutes we can be up and running. I can hit go, and we can be doing this kind of thing on a regular basis. Whether it's me playing songs, I'm putting together a song list of songs to play. Right now I'm doing the stuff that I've got permission to play that's not going to get me yanked off of the socials. But we may try some live streaming stuff with some copywritten music, songs that you know. We'll see how that goes. I'm still looking into the legality of that. I don't want to get myself yanked off a line too quickly for playing tunes that I would play on a gig anyway. So anyway, that's it. Thanks. I appreciate you. I'm going to hit the button now that says stop streaming. And I want to encourage you something. And the other reason I'm doing more of this stuff is because I want to be an encouragement to you. There's three things that I want to encourage you is, one, whatever it is that you're trying to do it. Just do it. I'm trying to stream and trying to do this kind of stuff. As ham-handed as it may be at certain times, I'm doing it. And that's the important thing. Over time, it'll get better. I'll get more polished. I'll have better presentation. We'll improve the audio. We'll improve the video. It'll just get better for doing it. That's the first thing. The other two things are be awesome to everybody and be awesome to yourself. I'll see you next time.